Okay, so everything we've seen so far has happened organically, and it will. If you follow everything I've said throughout this the video series, is you'll see how everything happens organically because of this structure, and starting with the end, the goal, the ending of the story. Okay, so now I need to start plotting, and the story doesn't start. No story starts until the desire starts. So until the reader knows what the main character desires, then the story has not started. The sooner the reader knows what the main character desires, the sooner the story starts. So we need to, and this isn't the only story structure. Another story structure is a chain structure where the goal changes throughout the story, but each goal leads and gets harder and harder, and therefore has the same arc like this. So because each goal is harder to reach and organically leads to the next, it skyrockets and the tension grows. Okay. So the first thing we need then obviously is to determine our desire part. So that's what we need to do when we're plotting. So I need to think of some scenes in order to give my main character's desire. Now there's many ways I can start this story. I can start the story where Jack actually hears or witnesses his sister's rape. I'm thinking if he witnesses, it'll be better. Then he kind of has a sort of a look of what the rapist looks like. Maybe comes in the last moment, yells, and rapist runs away. And so he kind of knows what the rapist sort of looks like, and that gives him some keys or hints to tell people when he's looking, trying to track him down. So I like that. I'm going to go with that. So I can start the story off there. That immediately gives my desire. What I'm sacrificing is a little bit of background, a little bit into Jack. But I can now then go into Jack. So there's two ways I can do this. I can kind of give the story a more slower start, where I kind of start a little bit before the event that gives him this desire, a little bit before the rape, and kind of show a scene where, I don't know, it needs to be interesting though, but an interesting scene with Jack and his sister talking about their mother's death and why they're on this planet and how they wish they weren't here, and hey, we just need to go and do this one thing and then we can leave. And maybe they needed to go to this planet because one of their uncles, or some, maybe they're even younger actually. I kind of like this. Jack and his sister are a little bit younger, and they can't totally live on their own yet, and so they need to come and inherit something, and I don't know why yet. But anyway, for some reason they're on this planet. I don't know what the reason is yet. I'm just trying to make it up as I go along. Let's say the reason is something like their mother dies, and now they're on this planet because they need to meet their uncle, who is going to give them some money, and he's going to offer them a place to stay, but they already know that they don't want that, so they're going to tell him, well, we don't want to stay with you. Maybe you can just help us out, give us some money that we can get back to Earth and live our life. And anyway, so they're stuck on this planet until they get that. And while they're there, she gets raped, and that's what sets the whole story off. So I can either start it off at the rape, and then through backstory, through him and his sister talking, then I can go into why they're on the planet. So I can do it two different ways. Do I want to start the story out with a bang, or do I want to start the story out with a little bit of backstory first, and it'll make this rape a little bit more intense? So I'll start it off, move this down a little bit then, and I'll start off with that scene. So this is how I'm plotting. I've decided I'm going to start out with a scene where him and his sister are in a hotel or something here on this planet, and they're kind of, I need tension. Every scene should have tension. So the tension I'm going to give the scene is that they're arguing over whether or not they should stay on the planet. Jack's like, I don't want to stay here. His sister's like, well, we should. Where else are we going to go? We'll go make a way. We'll go back to Earth. We'll make a way on our own. We don't need our uncle. Well, no, we need our uncle's money. We need to at least try to ask him for money. If you don't want to stay here for a while, before we can save up money, then let's at least ask him for his help. And if he doesn't give us any money, then maybe we'll do it your way. So you have this kind of tension, and that kind of gives, that's still an impactful scene actually. Starting out with tension like that is an impactful scene, and we kind of get to know a little bit about the world they're in, why they're there, a little about their backstory, where they grew up in, and then Jack can say something like, well, I don't want to be here because aliens, and she's like, I don't know if, and maybe she challenges her own moral beliefs and his beliefs, and she's like, I don't know, maybe aliens aren't that bad. I mean, from what I've we've been here for a couple days. They don't seem that bad, and I don't know. Maybe mixing isn't. There's no problem with us being on the same planet together. Maybe what our parents taught us is wrong, and what our town people taught us is wrong. So that kind of, through dialogue, I reveal some of the backstory about his sociological background, how he was raised, that they were raised in a society that frowns against this, and that's why Jack's against it. Okay, so and then his sister maybe even leaves angry. They get an argument, and that leads to one thing another. She leaves angry, flates out the hotel. Jack's like, ugh, and then Jack follows her, or decides to follow her after he waits a while, and he's like, oh damn it, I better go get her, and he goes after her, and then he witnesses her being raped, and hey, what are you doing? And the guy takes off, and that kickstarts his desire. That bastard, I want revenge. And so now the story is started. So that's what you want. You want to establish the desire as soon as possible. And I've decided to do it within a couple scenes, 1, 2 scenes, 3 scenes perhaps. And then now I'm at my desire already. So within the first chapter, I've established the desire, and that's good. In my novel I'm working on now, Psyvamp, I actually have a couple false start desires, but I haven't actually established his real desire. It's more of a chain desire story, so it's a little different. Anyway, let's go back to this one. So we got our desire. Now what's the next thing that needs to happen in our story within our plotting structure? So another thing I need to establish early in the story is his weaknesses and his needs. Sometimes you can actually have the weakness and need happen before his desire. That is, he already has a drug addiction and abuse problem, but I've decided to make it the other way around. So he doesn't have that. He doesn't have his weaknesses yet. Now I need to show how he develops that. So in the next few scenes, he is coming to grips with what happened with his sister. He goes to the police. The police aren't helping him, maybe because a lot of the police are aliens, and I don't know. It kind of maybe even strengthens his belief a little bit. And he's like, "Damn it, I really need to have this justice served." And they're like, "You haven't given us enough to go on. We're sorry, we can't help you." And now he's stuck without justice. This pisses him off because justice isn't being served. He doesn't have his inner peace. Now his needs are established. So I need to establish his needs, and this is important. I could establish his weaknesses before his needs, but because we saw the organic way this story developed, I know I need to establish his needs next, because that's the way this organically works in this particular story. Every story is different, but you need those things. But in your story, the weaknesses might lead to the need. It just depends. It's all going to be organic, but it might unfold in a different order. So the order is not set in stone. All those elements I've showed you are just elements, and they don't have to happen in one particular order. But desire definitely needs to happen early on in the story. Right, so in this particular story, the next thing, I'm just using this here if I can see my time, is needs. So the desire to get justice served, cops treat him wrong, they're not going to help him out. Now we know his needs. His needs are, he's suffering now psychologically, he's having a hard time dealing with what's going on, and he wants justice served. So his needs are now established. Now I need to establish his weaknesses. And the weaknesses, of course, were his drug addiction. So he starts taking Valium because he's having a hard time dealing with what he's dealing with, and he decides to pick up some Valium. That will then start leading to his other weakness, but I don't have to reveal it right away. I can reveal it as the story unfolds. But we know what it's going to be is he's going to start losing his cool. He's going to start, maybe yelling at people, and his desire is going to feel his moral problems, his immoral acts, and that will also be organic. That is, he's now desired, and one of his strengths is determination. He's determined to get justice served, and that determination, that desire, leads him to immoral acts. He starts stepping on people, maybe steals, I don't know yet, but he does immoral things, and that will get worse and worse as the story progresses. He'll take more and more immoral acts to get what he wants, to get revenge. Okay, so we'll continue with the next video.